Hey everybody, and welcome back to Digitized Live. I am your host Kyle Hermans with our co-host Kent. Kent, how are you today?
Oh man, I could do with a couple more hours sleep, I think. All the things going on around the world, work has been feeling around the clock lately, as well as having family home full time and becoming an elementary school teacher in the last few days.
I feel exactly the same way. It's been absolute chaos over here, but we're finding our way. And we're going to get into some of those strategies. So for today's show, we thought about unlocking a couple of key strategies and tips about home impact, how digitized can successfully balance when work and home impact together. So this is going to be our show for today, and we're very excited to get kicked off.
Well, I've got a bunch of things that I could go through. One would be my new headphones. Two would be teaching school at home and all the digital aspects of that some people aren't accustomed to. A third thing, distractions. And this is more of a social thing. It's not really technical, it's social. Because sometimes you can't stop them. We may have them while we record this, in fact. So how do you deal with that? And how do you internalize that and handle it?
A couple things on my side are some strategies and tactics about navigating kids and work at the same time, having a daily plan, and then navigating the new landscape with clients, starting to have new conversations while we are driving things forward.
Okay. I'll go first. I'll start with these. I'm not all about spending any extra money right now. My old AirPods, there were some of the original ones, the batteries just wouldn't recharge anymore. So I took the plunge and I got the AirPod Pro. These have active noise canceling. I can't tell you how much peace that has brought me just in the last couple of days since I got them. I mean, I just don't hear all the little things, but if somebody needs to get my attention, that still comes through loud and clear. They're not cheap. It was $249, I think. But the thing is, I didn't realize how nice it would be to have that. So if you can do it, if you can't, then you've got to find some other way, right, to try to create that a bit of quiet around you so you can focus, because it's really difficult when something is just right at you constantly all the time. So that would be one tip that I could give right off the top is try to find a way to isolate yourself and realize how much sound matters.
Yeah, that's a great tip. My daughter, who has been on my case to get her those headphones, the Pro version, we tested something out that we don't normally do because we are deep loyalists to the Apple products, and we understand that comes with a huge price tag. But we did find Bat Pods, or a different brand, which are almost identical to the AirPod Pros. And they just arrived a couple days ago, and we tested them out, and she's been having an amazing time with them. And I think they were $55, which is great for an 11-year-old because the chances are of them losing them are very, very high.
Yeah, for sure.
So a tip from my side is we've started to do is build some daily structure. We thought about this when we knew and anticipated that everyone would be at home and that we had to take on some homeschooling responsibilities as well as our work responsibilities, as well as shifting the business responsibilities. We took on some structure, and we had a bit of a rocky start, to be honest. It's like everyone's still finding their feet within it, but for the most part, I would say 70% of our plan has been working so far in the day. And what I mean by that is giving each other communication styles of what we have to accomplish in the day, which times are really critical, and then almost doing a reset with each other. So I'm down here with the live program. My co-founder and wife is up in another room in the house who's taking client calls. So we reset just before every meeting with the kids to make sure that they, for the next hour or 90 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever the duration is that we have to lock in, that everybody's got something going on. And we've got a little guy, we've got a 3-year-old. So that's usually the Achilles heel sometimes because he misses the parents, he needs things, he gets very loud occasionally. But what we do is with that structure, is to be able to place the responsibility on somebody to help manage the noise level. That's a big thing for us, is managing the noise level. And so far, the kids are actually getting into it, because then every day they also come with their key things that they want to achieve that day, and then we're able to stand in support for them. So it's not just, hey, you need to be quiet for mom and dad and that we have work to do, but it's also, how can I support you get your schoolwork done, or be present for your homework, or be present for your online schooling. So that's been a second tip that I would say, is really get some structure and make sure everybody contributes to that structure in your family.
That's a great tip. In our case, I'm going to use that reset tip, effective immediately. I'm adopting that one. I wasn't doing that, and I can see exactly how that would be very helpful. One of the things that we decided to do was get up at the same time every day. I know that sounds a little simple, and it's a little earlier for my wife and I than we used to get up, but we've committed to that, and that allows us to get a little bit of a head start. And at the same time, we've committed to block off, in our case, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for what we think of as academics, which is the basics. And then we've also decided not to try to go all in, and get it all done the first week or the first day. So today we started with things that are just pretty natural for us, which we call enrichment classes. So today was a little bit of computer, a little bit of art, some Spanish language. My wife speaks native Spanish, so that works out quite well. And then we put in stretching and meditation. My 3-year-old, he's convinced he's a yoga master, and so he taught us all yoga this morning, which is super cute. And then afterwards, after the academics, we let them loose to run around, right? They just need to, as you said, get the wiggles out. And then that let us go into free time right before lunch. And then we're going to be trying to anchor at meal times. We've always had a bit of structure, but we've never had to really think about it so much, right? Because to fit everything in that you need to do, and still be able to do the laundry and cook the food and do the dishes and everything, it really starts to add up, and it requires a little bit more care to the scheduling.
Building on that, we have a term here that we're using called prolific quality output, our PQO. And that what we try to do now is to get the prolific output that we need to achieve for the business. We try to get that done within the first 50 to 60% of the day. And so if we can get that done, then what we actually win back are several hours in the day to be very present. And what I've done in my own Calendly link for clients and for folks scheduling with me or with our team, going forward, unless you're in a crazy time zone and one of our international clients, you only get access to us after 1 o'clock. So what we've done is to say from 8 until 1, the prolific quality output was traditionally for the business, but we've now also included getting the kids set up for success in that time. How do we make sure that the day is running well and that we've achieved our biggest things within that first few hour block, so that by the time we break for lunch and that we go into the afternoon, if the rails come off a little bit, or what we can do is say, I've achieved those things that I needed to achieve, I can now actually be okay with dedicating the extra hours to the family focus, to really making sure that they're set up for success, and that if they are getting tired or the day's been fatiguing, that it doesn't cost us. So that's been something interesting for us to play with, this looking at that structure in the day and say, we want to try and achieve the maximum amount of output that we know when everyone's got their energy, when we've got the most quiet, when we've got the most shared structure, and then we've got some extra hours. We still try to get things done there, but what we do in that time is be okay with the fact that it may not all work out perfectly. And that actually reduces total household stress.
That's awesome. I have to share one more. This was a discovery I had. I started putting something on my calendar every work day of the week. It's planned out forever. It never ends, and it's called family time. For me, the most critical part of the day is 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. because this is when you've got to feed them, bathe them, play with them, hang out with them, comfort them as necessary, and then get them in bed, right? Because a stable bedtime is massively helpful. So for me, that family time, I mean, I just can't tell you how many positive ways that's affected my life. I did that long before we had a COVID-19 pandemic, but I would start with that. If you haven't done any of these things that we've talked about, this one can really improve your relationship with your wife or your significant other or your husband. And it just matters a lot to dedicate that time.
That's excellent. My extra tip would be communication. And I think it's building on what you just said there, Kent. Communication is key. I think we structure and set the day and things show up for all of us. I think checking in with the emotions, checking in on how we're doing, checking in on how the kids are doing, checking in on the team. We've started a ritual, which is doing a set in the morning. How's the energy level? How's the stress level? With some of the partners and team members over Slack, over email, over WhatsApp, and then here at home as well with the family, so that we are able to make sure that the one thing we are going to be very good at is building a foundation of communication right now, so that when things get even more extreme or a little more difficult, we can manage that together.
You know, Kyle, another thing, we've had to accept the fact as well that we are managing our children's lives a lot more. I mean, the entire day, from the time they wake till the time they sleep. Previously, we had preschool, we had grade school, we had help, and now we don't. So we're being more lenient with screens. We're being more lenient with game time. And I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. It wasn't our original choice, but it is one of the things we're doing, because when we give that little bit of extra screen time, whatever it be, games or TV, we get a little bit of time back as well, the parents, in order to get other things done. And then there was a knock-on effect that my 10-year-old son asked me, Dad, are my friends still going to be my friends when this is all over if I can't ever see them? And I said, yes, Oliver, they will definitely still be your friends, but boy, it left me thinking, okay, how can I use digital, right? Whether it's a video game and I hook them up with a headset, which I have always refused, because I don't want any chance that they're talking to strangers who I don't know. But if it's their friends and I can get them in Minecraft and they can play together in a shared world and speak to one another, that's going to help them stay close. And it seems to me totally worth it and totally worth dedicating some time. And so with Oliver, I also said that I would have him help me set it up. I'll have him help me launch the server, help me be the admin of the server. And of course I had to give him a promise that if I also let him be the mod on the server, that he won't just squash all his friends with his mod powers. But he's pretty excited actually about that. And now I've got to do the whole thing of calling the other parents and seeing if I could get them to play along so that we can give our children a virtual space to connect with one another. So what are you going to do? How can the digital help?
I like that a lot. My eldest daughter, we had to cancel a sleepover for her yesterday, and she was very, very upset, and we had to have a long conversation about social distancing and what that really meant. And it's hard. I shared with her what you shared with me about Oliver, and that actually sparked a very interesting conversation at our family dinner time, because she said, I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's actually what it is. She recently shifted social group, a group of girls that she'd grown up with over the last few years. They just weren't gelling the same way, and she discovered a new friendship group and made a migration. But that new group she moved into have been friends for years. And so she's the new person. She says the way she frames it is, I'm the odd one out. And what she's doing is she's building new relationships and she's building social rapport with them. And so this particular sleepover was a very important moment to solidify her place within that new tribe. And because she couldn't attend it, she was worried about, would she be perceived as refusing to want to spend time with him, that she didn't care. So what we've done is suggest two things. We're actually going to do this as a family. Tonight's our first time. We're going to do this. We're going to have dinner together. We're going to Zoom in and we're going to just share a meal with each other. And we're going to try and do that a couple times a week with different folk that, anybody that would like to kind of Zoom in with us. Our family times are kind of chaotic, but it's still fun. And then what we've also suggested to my daughter is that we're going to have a movie night for her and her friends, where they'll log in on their iPads and we'll probably stream something from our iPad into a Zoom meeting and they can watch together, but they're at least together. We'll make some popcorn and they'll hang out. And for that time, they'll get to have that play date with each other. So we're experimenting. And here's another interesting one. My sister lives in Ireland, and she is giving her first live yoga class. She always does it in studios, and tonight she's gone live with her first yoga class for her members specifically. And I've said to her, wow, you know what? I go locally, obviously, to support local business if I want to exercise or do some sort of an activity class. But she's one of the best yogis in the world. And I said, I'd be missing out on being trained by the world's best yoga teacher, which I said, we could just get on Zoom. I could project it onto the larger screen and you could train me in real time. And she's like, wow, yes. And we just never thought about doing that, which is kind of funny, which is so obvious for so many online trainers, right? But we just didn't make that personal connection. And now what's happening is that's sparking more discussions of, would you like to log in and join us for this experience? Or do you want to come and join us for dinner? Or do you want to just... So we're trying to build on something that your son must be feeling and my daughter is feeling, which is, we have this ability to connect, even if it's short, and saying hello in person. And that might actually increase the frequency that we see each other than just waiting for normal social times.
That's fantastic. I will sign up for a dinner night with you.
Awesome.
I think that would be fantastic. And I love the movie night idea. That's happening. That's happening in the Langley household. I'll let you know when it's going to be. Man, I just love this. I love where it went and what we've unearthed here. I can't wait. I can't wait to go back and watch this episode because, fantastic, Kyle. Thank you very much. I think that's a lot of tips for everybody. Folks, if you are out there right now and you're seeing this and you're experiencing any of these things, these feelings, we want to know because we are really in real time on this journey with you, trying to figure out how to navigate this new, very digital landscape and come up with tools that help us stay human while we stay connected.
We are very excited for you to feed back anything. If there's topics you'd like us to talk about, if there were insights that you went out and experimented with from things we've been sharing, please let us know. Let your friends know as well. Hit that subscribe button and you will be brought up to date with all of the new tools, tips, tricks, and musings between myself and Kent. And honestly, stay safe out there, and we are very excited to continue this journey with you.